All right.
Hey guys, Dr. Clayton Roach here with Adjusting Attitudes, bringing to you another valuable interview, which we do once a month. And this month, the pleasure is all mine. I'm interviewing serial entrepreneur, social media strategist, a writer, chiropractor. I don't know how many accolades you have, Matt, but please help me welcome Dr. Matt Loop. How you doing, Matt?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show, Clayton. Appreciate it, man.
And I really appreciate you taking the time to do this, Matt, out of your busy schedule. You now have two kids, another one that just came by 4 months ago.
Yes,
So,
yes.
congrats.
Sebastian and Ethan. So it's been an interesting ride. I mean, I wouldn't trade a day in the world. It's one of the biggest blessing that you could ever experience, I think, on this earth. But as I was mentioning to you before this interview, like the lack of sleep, you got to figure out a way to kind of cope and be productive and still, get stuff done. So I've been adapting very well.
Creating balance is a challenging thing, eh?
Yeah.
So, Matt, so what we do this once a month, and we want to create value for our viewers. And I want to interview people that I feel a connection with, that I resonate well with, and I've used their product, I've coached with, and you and I have
Mhm.
had a coaching relationship in the past, and it was nothing but fantastic. For some of the
Okay.
viewers that don't know you, maybe you can share with us a little bit of your story and how you became who you are today with the success and the accolades that you have. What inspired you to become who you are?
Yeah, it's a great question. I am a chiropractor like either of you are watching this. My path is very interesting because I graduated from Logan College of Chiropractic in 2004. Got caught up in the whole accreditation mishap at Life University, if you remember that. And I was in eighth quarter, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, it's really happening. And then October came around. There were three students, and I was like one of the only ones left in a class of 200. I said, yeah, this is probably happening. So it was an interesting time in my life, but I felt like I got the best of both worlds in terms of the philosophy and technique at to life, and then of course a lot of the diagnostics at Logan and whatnot. So it was a very interesting journey. Got out of school like many chiropractors do, just wanted to help patients, right? We just wanted to treat and help patients. Unfortunately, I didn't get a lot of good business training. I learned from the group that I was with a little bit, but I was still very naive. No one told me I had to wait 2 to 3 months for an insurance check to come in the mail that was like 10 to 15 bucks at the
Simple
time. That
that.
was imagine that, right? And so that was a rude awakening. My practice was semi busy, but I got to a point where I was over $140,000 in student loan debt. I had $1,000 in bills due the following week. My credit cards were maxed because I tried a lot of advertising and conventional media platforms. Some hit okay, but some didn't, and plus you needed that extra bankroll, which I didn't have. I got to a point where it was so severe that my ex-girlfriend's father had to cut me a check for 2 grand to float me along. And I just felt like so humiliated at that point in my life. Like, oh my gosh, I'm a doctor. I got to make this work. What's going on? There are people that need chiropractic in my service. Where's the holdup? Why would somebody that obviously knows they need me, why wouldn't they take action? So I started really to investigate human behavior and marketing, which is simply communication, why people make the decisions that they make, take the action, getting your message in front of that right person at the right time so they want to buy your product and or utilize your service. And that's when a whole new world opened up to me. And right around that time was a little social network called MySpace in 2005. You remember MySpace?
Yeah.
I was actually attracting patients in my office from MySpace, if you can believe that. Now, I didn't know how early I was to the game because no one was doing social in a business element like that. But I figured that, oh my gosh, these are real people that were 5 miles from my office. I connect with them with certain interests. I found it fascinating. And again, these were real individuals. So I started to build my own network of local people in the area. And naturally, 1 to 2% would be like, hey, I saw you're a chiropractor. Well, I've got this going on. Can you help me? And I started going back and forth and said, yeah, sure. And once I became more strategic and figured out certain ways to harness these platforms much better, I got more calculated, and we started getting 10 to 15 patients per month from MySpace of all things. And then I had other colleagues that were asking me, dude, what are you doing? How are you using this kid's network? First it was friends. So I began to show them specifically what I was doing. They began to tell their other chiropractor friends, and their chiropractor friends began to tell other people like attorneys, real estate agents, veterinarians, plumbers, any business that you can think of. I kind of accidentally stumbled in consulting. It was cutting into my practice time, and I had to make a decision. I said, I love treating patients in the office, but if I could help thousands of doctors reach millions upon millions of patients and really get the message of chiropractic to the masses, I just thought that was a really cool mission, and I was totally game for it. So that's really my journey into social media, and then I've just kept my finger on the pulse of things ever since. YouTube was introduced in 2006. Facebook was opened to the public not long after, and I just was really ahead of the curve with those mediums. And to date, we've trained over 7,500 chiropractors. My company is DC Income, which is the world's largest training company in terms of social media for chiros, and I'm very blessed and grateful that I've been able to do and help so many really achieve practice success, but also get the message to the masses. Social media, it's the perfect time this year in 2016, because that's where the people are, and we as chiropractors need to promote like it's the year we actually live in. You know what I mean?
Wow, what a story. It's funny because I always tell patients, like, there's three ways, or sorry, I always tell chiropractors, there's three ways to grow your practice. One, you have to attract more, you have to retain more, or you have to add services to your practice. So I think a lot of things that one of the most common topics we hear is new patient attraction. So with that comes marketing. So from your perspective, which is, obviously an awesome perspective, what role do you think marketing has to play in a chiropractic practice? How would you define marketing for a chiropractor?
Marketing is, one, the lifeblood of your practice. I mean, in my personal opinion, and it's really the ability to communicate your message in such a way that it gets a person to take action to better their health. The bottom line, some people are put off by the word marketing and sales, but we market ourselves in our practices. We sell ourselves every day.
Absolutely.
It's just, sales is not evil. Like, Joe Polish always says, people love to be sold. They just hate to be pressured. And if you come across in an authentic way that's true to you, you're going to be more effective in your communication. And you know very well, because you've studied some of the greats in communication, how important that is. So I think more doctors need to reframe that mindset around what marketing and sales and communication really is to be more effective. And if you're truly interested in helping more people in the community and helping chiropractic get to that tipping point, this should be your duty, your obligation to master social marketing and communication. There's just you can't get around it in today's society.
Right. That's a great quote by Joe Polish. So how would you say marketing has changed, the biggest change you've seen from what chiropractors were doing 10 to 15 years ago, and what needs to be done right now if you're going to be maximizing your dollar that you're spending?
Sure. I mean, conventional media was still big 10 to 15 years ago, and excuse me, even then, if you weren't in the yellow page, you were kind of looked at as suspect. But the game has shifted in that now if you don't have an overwhelming presence on sites like Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, just social media in general, you are looked at as outdated and out of touch, and people trust you less. There have been numerous studies that have shown this, and think about your buying habits. What do? You'll either go to Facebook and ask a recommendation for a friend, you'll go to Google. So the web has evolved, and we as chiropractors absolutely must evolve with it. It's not what I say. It's about how the world has shifted. So it's a really important point. I just think that there's still so many doctors, even when I speak at conferences and events, I'll have people raise their hand. And I mean, how many doctors have a YouTube channel? 30% of the room goes up. And I'm like, how is that even possible nowadays? So part of it is just getting over the fear of doing it, but realizing there's so much opportunity with this medium. With change comes opportunity, and you'll either adapt or you'll die.
Wow. It's funny, I remember when I started coaching with you, Matt, my biggest concern before coaching with social media was, where the heck do I start? Like, there's so many things, and where do you start? How do you leverage like Facebook and Instagram and Google Plus, and how they all come together? And you were instrumental and so good at layering basically the things that you told me to implement and how they all came together.
Sure.
So to the viewer, what would be the biggest thing that you would tell someone who maybe is not at the top level in terms of what they should be doing with social media, and where would they start in terms of implementing a strategy?
I would say be careful who you get advice from first. I've just been very fortunate to work with enough doctors to know that it's very easy to get overwhelmed. Even sometimes I'll be messing around on Facebook and you'll be doing a certain thing, and maybe one of your friends uploads a photo album. They went to Cedar Point in Ohio. You're looking at these photos for an hour. What have you completed? You've got nothing done. And in the end, we get paid for having stuff get done. So we don't want it to overwhelm us. We don't want to waste time. You need to start with one thing, and then, like you said, stack and layer additional strategies on top. Not try to take everything all at once. That's a big mistake that I see a lot of doctors make, and haphazardly going about things. So there are many high leverage places that you could start. But give you an example: Facebook. Over 1.5 billion people are on Facebook. So if we have to choose a social platform that we should invest most of our time, even if it's just 30 minutes a day, let's use Facebook. Let's not worry about the other stuff just yet. Now, within Facebook, as you know, there are dozens of strategies that can be implemented to attract more patients or to get your name in front of them or reactivate patients. But we need to do it in such a way that it doesn't overwhelm us, that it's systematic for the staff or whoever's going to be implementing it, and that we can stack and layer right onto the next. Because the end game is to create systems. We want to systematize as much of the marketing as possible, so we're not creating another job, but we have all these strategies coming from different directions, like this massive spider web, and they're going to feed the practice for life. Yeah, you'll still need to put some time and some work, but it's about being more efficient and at least knowing, all right, well, here's the blueprint. Here's what I need. Let's start with one thing and then get that implemented before we even move on to the next. So, step by step, bit by bit, and eventually that snowball will turn into an avalanche.
One of my past coaches said SYSTEM was actually an acronym for Save Yourself Time, Energy, and Money. And that's literally what you've done for me, like during the coaching, which basically putting a system together, a social media system that continues to pay good dividends and new patients coming in, that you're no longer working very hard to get at. You've worked hard initially to set the system up, but you're not, spending a whole weekend at a screening, speed dating and trying to get, new patients into your door.
Yeah, and you were also a fantastic implementer. That's another thing too. It's so that, congratulations on your success, because if you implement what you should implement in the strategies, you'll definitely see a big presence come online, and obviously new patient referrals come of that. But it takes work. This is not like, hey, do nothing and get rich stuff. You need to really put a little time, to have success.
So the next question is always, I always ask a surprise question that, typically will bring, the highest value with the people listening. And this question is the following. So what would be, for the chiropractor listening, stuff that they could implement tomorrow? What would be the 3 biggest nuggets that you could share with someone today and say, tomorrow morning, you need to do these 3 things? Not necessarily tomorrow morning, but you need to focus on these 3 things. What would that be in terms of, social media and growing your practice?
Sure. That's a great question. Very loaded question, because I can give you about 50 different things. But, and I realize that on this training call right now, this Skype, that we have docs of every different skill level. So one of the simpler things that doesn't require a lot of energy, effort, or time, you don't have to be a technical genius to implement, would be something like the Google. So Google has what's called Google Maps. So if you went right now and you Googled Halifax chiropractor, you're going to see the top 3 listings are that 3-pack. And there are specific ranking factors to get into that 3-pack. Now, ideally, you need to have a listing first. So you should Google your practice name, Google your name to see if Google has already created a Maps listing for you. If not, you can just go online and type on Google My Business, type that into the search bar, and then create a Maps listing from that first link that you see. The second step is to populate that, verify the listing, to get reviews and feedback from patients, as well as to create what are called citations. Citations are basically your practice listed in other internet directories around the web, like Superpages, Yelp, Yellow Pages. I'm not sure of the Canadian ones specifically, but you know what I'm talking about. Yep. Your practice listed, because that's a credibility factor in Google's eyes. An easy way to do that is just to Google the phone number of a doctor that's been in your area for a long time. they're going to be cited on all these different directories anyway, and then you can have a team member just go ahead and create those citations on all those different directories. Probably take about 4 to 5 minutes per directory, but that can easily be delegated, and then you, as a chiropractor, can now integrate a script in your office that's actually going to produce new patient referrals and feedback. And how the script goes is like this. Mrs. Jones walks into your office. She's feeling enthusiastic about chiropractic. And what you've done for her, that's when you say, Mrs. Jones, we're thrilled you noted such great results with the treatment. Tell you what, we would love your feedback on Google at this MAPS listing, at this link. And if you're kind enough to give us your feedback by your next visit, we've got a special gift of appreciation for you. It's normally valued at $47, but really it's just our way of saying thank you for letting us serve you in the community. Now, that script was very effective because it gives a deadline, an incentive, and we also need to follow up on the day of the deadline with either a text reminder, email, or phone call 4 hours before, because sometimes life gets in the way. Things just happen. And if you follow those 3 components, your compliance is going to shoot through the roof. I've had doctors do everything from, again, you got to check with your state board. I'm not an attorney. Some doctors have done complimentary adjustments, complimentary supplements. If you have a massage therapist, you have access to free 20-minute massage, a gift card to the, what's that?
We did a gift card.
Okay, yeah, a gift card to a local business in the area, something to show your appreciation. But that will really help a lot because now the patient's already going to want to do that, give you feedback online anyway, but this sweetens the deal. We give a deadline, and then we give that follow-up, and the follow-up call or text is very simple. You say something like, Mrs. Jones, we just wanted to thank you for leaving us feedback online. We'll see you at your appointment today at 3 o'clock. So even if she didn't leave feedback, it's a very gentle reminder for her to do so. If you do that, most effectively, like clockwork, strive for 2 to 5 reviews every single week. Have a plan there. You can't get reviews from the same computer in your office. Google doesn't like that. But if somebody has one of these little smartphones, then iPhone or Android, what you can do is you can have them go to the Google Maps application or go on their browser and write a review right then and there. You're not going to have any issues there. But if somebody's really rearing to go, get them in the office. But that protocol alone is just another system that can produce passive referrals from the internet as you get more reviews.
Cool. So that little Google map is when you populate, you say Roach Chiropractic Center, it has a website map and it has like how many reviews you have and it says write a review.
Exactly.
Right.
Okay. Or if you Googled Halifax chiropractor, the top 3 ones that you see, we want to get in those box. Even if you're not on the first page for that search term, what's going to happen if you're doing a lot of screenings events, even if you're doing a ton of Facebook marketing online, people still Google your clinic and they still Google your name. So that's going to come up with I've got clients that have hundreds of reviews, and when a prospective patient sees that, that removes all the skepticism, all the barriers, because now how could they possibly not be great? Yeah. They've got 100 reviews on their site, and by the way, you should take screenshots of those reviews and put them on your testimonials tab of your website to add even more on the conversion side. So I know that was a little bit long on that strategy, but it's a really, really important protocol to get implemented. It doesn't take a lot of time, energy, or effort, and you can see massive results.
We just got a new patient the other day, or yesterday actually. He said that the only reason he was in our office is because of the amount of reviews we had.
Okay.
Online. So that was the only reason we're going to give him more reasons now, but that was the reason he came in.
Yeah. That's how decisions. They want to see feedback.
Two more quick nuggets.
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into techie, geeky details of this, but Facebook advertising platform is fantastic. Just know that you can upload your current email list directly to Facebook, and then you can target those people with an ad. So let's say you've got an inactive patient list of 1,000 to 2,000, whatever it is. You can upload that Excel file. So whatever autoresponder system you're using, your email management, Aweber, Infusionsoft, maybe your current chiropractic company has one, you can export that list. You can upload it directly to Facebook in their ad section and then target them. So you might have an ad that has your face on it, and the title might be, Need an Adjustment. Been a while since we've seen you. And I had one of my clients, he's out of the, where's he at? He's in the Bolton, Ontario area. He did this, and for about $25, he reactivated either 5 or 6 patients, which was insane. So that's a heck of an ROI. Think about it. But even if you get 1, it's still something that can be ongoing, a system where you're targeting people that have been in your office, creating that brand awareness. They're seeing your face all over the place. You're consistently reminding them. Very cost effective. So
is that typically done in a video, Matt?
Know that you can do that. What's that?
Is that typically done in a video format?
No, you can create a static ad.
Okay.
Just a static ad. I wouldn't create a video, just a nice little picture with you, potentially even adjusting a patient. Because when somebody sees that and they see the title "Need an Adjustment," they're going to probably think like, "Oh yeah, it's been a while since I've had an adjustment." And as people get adjustments, they feel so much better afterward. So it triggers that emotional response in their mind. I've just found very high degree of success using a strategy like that. And I've got a separate video tutorial on that process and strategy on Social Media Elite, my flagship training.
Cool. Last one.
All right, so a third quick strategy would be to use something like a Facebook check-in. Everyone has a smartphone nowadays, and most people have the Facebook app on their smartphone. So what you can do is you can have them, quote, check in. When they're in your office, they can pull up the Facebook app and click check-in. Once they click check-in, or if they go to update their statuses or posts, they're going to see a little pinpoint icon that allows them to select the location. Your practice should populate in that area. The bottom line is when somebody checks into your office, that's the average Facebook user, they say, has over 350 friends or in their friends base. So 5, 10, 15, 20 or more check-ins per week, you're talking about tens of thousands of free impressions that your fan page could be getting. That alone can produce referrals simply because what happens is, let's say one of your patients checks in and their friends, because it posts directly to your personal profile. So that patient checks in your office and says, "Hey, I'm at Roach Chiropractic Center, just got my adjustment, feel great." One of their friends might say, "Mary, I didn't know you're seeing a chiropractor. Why?" And they start talking back and forth, and that patient ends up selling that person why they should come and see you. I hear that happen all the time from clients. Very simple process, and just have some type of a contest weekly in the office. So if you see a patient 1 or 3 times a week, anytime they check in, they get a ticket to the raffle. Of course, they need to show your CA that they checked in on their phone because you can't see it on your fan page. They only show the number count. But make a note on an Excel spreadsheet at the front. That's that way that you can actually select a winner at the very end. And if you've got a screen at the front, like a reception monitor, you can have a looping commercial where you're speaking, and it loops every 5 minutes. "Hey, did you hear about our Facebook check-in this week? Blah, blah, blah." You show them what to do. You tell them about the incentive. Very simple stuff that can produce a lot of traffic and referrals.
That's at least 20 new patients right there, Matt, per month. But the 3 nuggets you just shared there, I love it. I love it.
I've had some killer success stories with those. Of course, you can't guarantee that in every market, but it will produce referrals, most certainly.
Absolutely. So, Matt, I'm sure with all the coaching you do and you speak with a lot of chiropractors, you've had your fair share of success stories, but you've sure had your fair share of sad stories of stuff that people have tried to implement, and they probably come to you as a last resort and say, "I tried all this, can you help me?" What would be probably the biggest mistake that you feel chiropractors make when implementing marketing, kind of in general in their practice?
Sure. There are many big mistakes that I see. I would say a couple. One is it's 2016. Not getting started is a huge mistake. Social media is not a fad, obviously. This is where the people are. So delaying and creating all these excuses for yourself, "I'm not technical, this and that." If you have the right mentor or coach to model or a system or tutorials or what have you, it's greater. It's definitely simplified. This is not like biochemistry in school. First of all, it's not that difficult, and it's a process of getting familiar with it. So it's much easier than that. Another big mistake that I see are doctors that think that their Facebook fan page, just like their website, they think that that is equivalent to marketing. It's just really not. That's a static property online. You still have to proactively get traffic and local referrals to that site, and which is what we've just discussed, a few of the strategies and ways to do that. Another big mistake is chiropractors not building an email list. I love social media. But the bottom line is we do not control these social platforms. Facebook could change their terms of service tomorrow, like they did, and crush your newsfeed visibility that much greater. I just posted an article yesterday on my fan page, just reiterating the fact, because I was one of the very fortunate few when I saw Facebook, giving this was jumping on in 2006 and 7 was really, really skyrocketing. I thought to build an email list off of Facebook, meaning that I had my quote ethical bribe, a free report, something that I was giving value away for free to get these social media followers off of Facebook onto a list that I control. And I did that consistently over years and years and years. Now, I was still getting great visibility like everyone else was, between, I don't know, 30 and 50% visibility, which was not 100%, but it was still great because at least a fair share of your fans would see your updates. Now, if you're lucky, between 5 and 7%, sometimes it's between 1 to 2. I could show you updates on my page recently. I've got over 20,000 fans. 50 people see the update if I don't boost.
Yeah.
So no sense in getting frustrated about it. That's just how social networks are now. Facebook is a business. You need to understand that. You need to build your list. When you have a list, then you can implement a system and protocol like the 3-day new patient machine email sequence that I have, where you can get people off of that list and into your office. So there's a lot of ways that we can, build trust, liking on a platform that we control, so we can create that relationship and then get them in the door. But ideally, using those hand in hand, not building an email list is a huge mistake that I see a lot of doctors making.
Brilliant. How do you, I guess the next question, kind of a segue to that, is with marketing, like still as a general topic, how do you distinguish yourself? Because I talk to a lot of chiropractors, and they got that scarcity model that there's too many chiropractors, and it's only, we're seeing 3%, or here anyway, 3% of the population. I'm like, come on. But still, if you're in this scarcity model, how do you distinguish yourself in your community? And how do you leverage, social media to create that leverage and to create that, distinguish, this is the guy to go to?
There's a specific way to manufacture celebrity, to engineer a strong presence and a credible presence online. I actually talk about that in my book, Social Media Made Me Rich. Here's how I can do the same for you. It's all about positioning. If you position the brand in such a way that is exclusive, looks elegant, appears premium, and doing certain things in a certain way, you're going to differentiate yourself very easily, because most doctors do not do that. So, for example, maybe we know certain trust indicators that people have. So on your website, one of the things that I always recommend having are news and media logos if you've been featured in any major media outlets, even if they've been local subsidiaries. And if you haven't, you can always submit a press release to prweb.com, use their $250 package, and many times that gets picked up by major media outlets in those local subsidiaries, so where you can legitimately say, as featured on ABC, Fox News, BBC, CNBC, or wherever it is. So people trust stuff that they see on TV. It sounds really childish and foolish, but they do. So we have to understand the mindset there. Also, when somebody comes onto your website, you have a Facebook like button that features the social proof. So if you go to MatthewLoop.com, in the upper right-hand corner, you'll see a little Facebook like button, and you'll see the thousands of people that have liked the page. If you've never come across my content before and you see something like that, you're going to be more inclined to stick around, because if 1,000, 10,000 people like this page, okay, must be popular, must be doing good things. Let me see what else is on the page. That's another trigger, aside from getting the benefit of somebody clicking that like button and sharing on Facebook. I mean, so there's multiple uses for that, but more so in terms of positioning and credibility. If you've been featured, or if you have pictures with local celebrities, mainstream celebrities, I do this on my blog at MatthewLoop.com. You'll see a rotating picture frame where I've got pictures with people like Usher, Def Leppard, Rob Schneider, David Copperfield, people that are widely known public figures, as well as other individuals or things about my life. That's just another differentiating factor in the marketplace that creates more credibility and who you associate with and such. So those three things are very simple ways, and I detail about 20 other things in my book, but there is a specific way to manufacture that credibility so you can stand out from every other person in the marketplace, but it all comes down to how the brand is positioned.
That's very good advice, Matt. Stepping away from the chiropractic a little bit, Matt, 3 years ago I kind of ventured into, creating other sources of income, and you've done that so well, and creating an online business. probably the biggest struggle I had, and you don't need to create, online business in order to have that struggle, is to maintain balance in your life. A lot of chiropractors are very successful in practice, but for lack of better terms, their family life sucks, and they're not seeing their kids too often, they're having marital problems, and I know a lot of them, and it's a struggle every day. So how do you, with everything that you've done, what would be one piece of advice that you can offer, how chiropractors would be able to manage that and create balance in their life while still being inspired to share their message and wanting to help their whole community? How do you balance that, Matt?
Yeah, a couple different ways. One is to make it a priority from the get-go. Number two is to follow those people that are already doing exactly what you want, not following those people that have, like, and this is a conflict that I've had. There's a lot of gurus in the entrepreneurial space, and they've got great content in many cases, but I don't identify with the hustle 24/7 philosophy, because at the end of the day, I love what I do. You love what you do. But the only thing that I love more than what I do is spending time with my family and traveling to places all over the world. So those are the top two priorities, my family being first. Now, if that's your priority, then you need to associate with somebody that is where you want to be. And or, if that person is working 20, 25 hours a week, is that your ideal scenario? Or if, people fall into the trap of following mentors and gurus that are working 80 hours per week. So what do? They adopt those same habits. One, it's about how big you want to grow and how efficient you want to be and how also you delegate. You need to know your strengths, and you absolutely must delegate your weaknesses. And you can be efficient, but when you find a mentor, it really shortcuts that process. You just have to align with somebody that is how your attitudes, values, and beliefs are situated right from the get-go, and you need to block out specific family time, because it's very easy, especially with stuff you're passionate about, to keep working, to keep going, well, I can do this, I can answer 5 more emails, or I can alter this on my website, or I can put this product together. But I mean, your kids are only 4 years old once, you know what I mean? Like, so you really have to put those reminders. Even everyone's different. You could put timers on your computer, you can set reminders on your iPhone, blocks, but just make it a priority and associate with people that are already doing it and have built their business around their lifestyle, as opposed to the other way around. And in practice, you need to make a decision where, how much do you want to be in practice, and or would you like to bring an associate or a couple independent contractors in? So we need to free up space so we can be with those who we want to be with and do what we want to do, and have the option to work more on our business instead of in it.
That's probably the best nugget you had. Well, they were all great nuggets, but that was great, because one of the things that we've done is like I was telling you before the interview, is we've gone to like a semi-open adjusting area, which has created so much leverage. I end on time. I'm able to see more patients in less period of time. So, again, why did I do that? It was to create more leverage and have more time with my family. And one of the things that I've noticed, with following, the greats in our profession, is the person you see on stage is not always the person that's behind that mic. And some people have great transparency, but once some people you get to know, their message is very incongruent to who they really are. And that's one thing that I really appreciate with you, Matt, because I've seen you hanging around your family, and who you are on stage is exactly who you are behind the mic. So that's something to be said about that.
I mean, contradictions will destroy your life. I mean, they'll eat you away from the inside. And then, especially if you go to present a certain message out publicly, people will find you out. If you're not transparent, people are going to find you out anyway. So it's better to start off figuring out what you want and how you want your life to be situated. Listen, in any entrepreneurial venture, you're probably going to put more time in on the beginning anyway, like starting up things and getting things. But you need to know, like, all right, there is always a ramp up time. But at the same time, what comes first? What's your priority? And if your family is a priority, I can't imagine. It's some of the advice I feel like I have to unbrainwash myself when I still listen to certain people. I'll take nuggets here and there because they still have great stuff, but I can't resonate. I mean, it's just you got to find somebody you resonate with. That's the bottom line.
And we're very blessed because we treat patients every day that they'll retire, and then they waited their whole life to retire, and then they die of a heart attack, right? So we see that every single day, and we were going, and sometimes you just don't take time to smell the roses, so to speak. So great advice on that, Matt. Thank you so much. So Matt, I want to personally thank you for everything that you've done for me and everything you do in our profession. Because if everybody had, you know, an ounce of what you have for passion and inspiration and doing what you do, this profession would be going in a whole, you know, different direction and far faster than what we're going. So how do people get a hold of you? How do you suggest that they go about contacting you? What's your programs, and where do we start with you if some people want to get a hold of you?
Well, I appreciate the kind words, Clayton. It really means a lot. You know, I really have a passion for helping chiropractors. I want chiropractic to be the first healthcare option, like true healthcare option, as opposed to the sick and broke medical system that we have. So that really fuels me and drives me, and I couldn't agree with you more. And I've been saying this for years. If more chiropractors really understood the power of social media and actually implemented it the right way, we would be at the tipping point in no time, because you can literally create the news how you want it, and you can become your own public relations machine. You know, and it's just, we live in a fantastic time. And so, but in terms of doctors that are on this training right now, one of my flagship free giveaways is my blogging success blueprint. This year, you got to have a blog. Every chiropractor needs a blog because it's your home online, and there's a specific way to promote your blog so you get ranked high on Google, so you have floods of traffic and you generate new patient referrals from that. If you go to dcincome.com/go/free gift, you can download that. Or if you just went to dcincome.com, you can download that blogging success blueprint as well. Just put your name and email in there and tell me where to send it. That's going to get you on the fast track with your blogging efforts.
We'll have that URL. We'll have that URL just so you guys know at the bottom of the video, so you guys know where to go.
Yeah, and you know, if you're looking to take your marketing to the next level, social media is very vast. There's YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google, so many platforms, and there are strategies within these platforms that are super high leverage, and most of them, unfortunately, are not. They're just time sucks. So I put together Social Media Elite, which is my flagship training, and it's kind of a condensed version of the coaching program that you and I went through, Clayton. I've got over 32 testimonials just on the website right now. So we get those all the time from doctors that have used it. That's one of the programs. And, you know, I'll also recommend that if you get a chance, my book, Social Media Made Me Rich, is a great place to start, because it also helps you understand what the world's highest paid internet entrepreneurs are using to grow their impact, their influence, and to multiply their monthly income. So obviously, we as a profession, I've said this for a while, but we need to be wealthy as a profession so we can achieve that critical mass. And we have a lot of doctors that are just not doing well. They're not making a big impact. They're not making a professional income. And that has to stop, because we're up against big pharma, who spends billions and billions of dollars on advertising, indoctrinating, and programming the masses to think and believe that toxic sludge is good for them. And they're doing a good job. You know, some people are making great strides in chiropractic, but we have a long way to go. But you know, the trainings that I provide, they're definitely going to help you at least get your message and amplify your impact out there much quicker.
So I purchased your book, and I just kind of gifted it to my marketing CA and said, "Here's what I want you to do in the next year. Implement everything, every layer. You don't even have to say, you know, to ask me if it's okay. Just do it. Just get it done."
Well, thanks for your support. I appreciate it.
Oh, no worries, Matt. So listen, Matt, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule and your family life. Again, we talked about balance, so I'm assuming you were able to schedule this without getting in trouble with the rest of your family. And
yes.
Attaboy. So I look forward to all your content, Matt, because, you know, we get into the emails. You're actually, you know, the emails that I do not delete, and I read every single one of them, and I appreciate the time you put into creating that content.
Oh, well, thank you. Glad you find value.
All right. Take care, guys, and thank you so much, Matt.
Thanks, Clayton. Appreciate it.
See ya.